Hello, everyone.
Hi.
They're over there, Kevin.
Oh, where?
With that camera.
Okay. Hi. I was saying hi to myself on the video screen because I don't know any better.
We're very vain here. We need to stare at ourselves.
You can tell that SLC is looking at the bottom of the barrel when they have to have me come in here and sit down and talk. And we've scraped even farther.
Come on, Denny.
Come on.
Excuse me, let me put my stuff down.
Actually,
I think he was going to do some work today.
so Liz, tell them what we're doing because I don't really know.
So this month is a little bit crazy and hectic. And so I thought, as an easy video for us, we would just talk to you guys and answer some questions.
So this is because of the trade shows that you're doing and all of that stuff. Basically got a lot going on.
Yeah, I just have a lot going on.
Okay, so we do have a lot going on, to say the least. Getting ready for the holidays and all that happy stuff, and Liz is busier than a gopher in soft dirt.
Yeah.
And
I finally surpassed the gopher in the busyness. I got him.
so anyway,
What
what we thought we'd do is talk to you folks and ask for some input, some ideas, some thoughts, some questions, because doing these things on a regular basis is fairly challenging to come up with new stuff,
Twice a week.
especially when you're old. New stuff is
Hey, I found this fella a bowling ball bag, probably from the 70s, that we're going to recreate, which I'm excited about.
really.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're excited.
I'm making him do it so I can be excited.
the pattern.
Did you? Nice.
You probably
Very nice.
sell 2 of those a year.
I do.
Great.
Hey, people bowl. I drive by the bowling alley. It's packed. I went there a few weeks ago. There's a lot of people up in there with fancy things. It's still a thing.
I hear we're doing a video this Friday on a money belt.
We're
And
doing.
I would like to ask you a question, Kevin. How do you build a money belt? Actually, you don't have to answer right now, but at some point I would like to collaborate.
I have made money belts. A lot depends on how long you want the money pouch. Some people want one this long. Some people want one the length of the whole belt so they can line it with $100 bills or whatever they're going to do.
Who are these people that wear money belts?
My dilemma is sort of, a standard size men's belt is 1.5 inches.
Right.
I was wondering if that's the size I should make, or maybe 1.75 inches.
I would make it 1.5 inches
and a half.
unless somebody specifies 1.75 inches.
Well, they'll have to fold their money up pretty fine for 1.5 inches.
That was my thought initially too, but it seems like people just don't have a problem with that because they fold it lengthwise and they fold it, and they cram them back in there.
Make a bunch of little hot dogs and then put them in their belts.
Tamales.
Lindsay would love
Have
that.
you made one before?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, basically you make the zipper pocket by itself. And if you want to be really fancy and wonderful about it, you can turn the edge and then glue it down and stitch it along the belt when you're done. But I always just made it too big and had the zipper in it and glued the belt to it. When I was done, just cut it
Just
off
trim
along
it
the
off.
edges. Yeah, that worked for me.
Well, that was kind of my thought on it, but I wanted to get yours.
So is this a question we need to answer up here?
Yeah, those are some questions that people have sent in.
Okay, so I've been burnishing. Question went away.
Sorry.
I've been burnishing the flesh side of veg tan bag straps with both gum trag and burnishing cream. But after a while of wear, they start to look a little unburnished and fuzzy. Is this normal? Am I not burnishing enough? You want to go or you want me to go?
Well, I'll take off with wear and tear causes fuzzy.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yes.
So if you burnish it with, it doesn't really matter what you burnish it with. You can burnish it with gum trag. You can burnish it with any other kind of leather finish that you want to. Tokonol works pretty darn good, actually. But on the back of a belt, man, that thing gets put in and out of belt loops every day.
Sure.
And
Or a strap that's going to be just rubbing on the shoulder all day.
Yeah, strap, same deal.
And for a while, I wore my cell phone case on my belt, and right where I wear it, that little clip causes a big old worn spot.
You know how you can do the back of a belt so it doesn't get fuzzy?
How's
Yeah.
that?
Line it.
Line it.
You put a non-fuzzy piece of leather there.
On the inside.
Okay, so Gerald Jones, what's the smallest needle you can run in a Cobra Class 4? The smallest you can get.
I was gonna say it is a 21, but I believe that we've been having issues getting a 21.
Yes, but a 21 works quite well. A Class 4 is a heavy stitcher. That's what it's for. It's not made to sew lightweight stuff. Everybody and their brother says you can sew from size 69 thread up, and you can with a 21 needle. 21 actually works pretty good as long as you got everything right. And that's basically what it takes. I think you could sew with a size 18 if you could get a size 18, but who would want to?
Yeah, because you have to still have a heavy machine needle.
The thing is with that Class 4 or a Class 3, they are a heavy machine, and the parts on those machines are big. It doesn't make a real pretty fine stitch.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's just all there is to it.
Yep, because it's designed to sew heavy.
Yeah, but it will make a beautiful stitch on heavier leather.
Yeah.
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 Let's do Terry Beeson. How many miles have you pushed that utility cart around the store? Every time I'm there, you come by pushing it with a load of skin. That is an excellent question because I don't know how many miles, but I'm betting that it's quite a darn few. We have this wonderful system where leather comes in down the parking lot, 5 or 6 units away from our retail store, and we bring it in there and receive it, and then all the receiving people say, Kevin, I've got all these 5 pallets of leather. What do you want to do with them? So,
Because Kevin probably bought them. So that means he gets to deal with them.
maybe I did. But Corey, who is my assistant, and we take those pallets in, determine what we need to do with them, and then we start processing them. And we unroll all the rolls. Oh my goodness. We fill up that happy little cart and push them down to the retail store and put them where they need to be, which is either in the retail part or in the mail order part, because we ship out just a ton of stuff. And right now, the issue is oil tan leather. Oh my gosh, do we sell oil tan leather?
Yeah, you guys really like our oil tan side deals.
And we're going to sell a lot more oil tan leather because we're going to have a $15 side.
A what?
A $15 side of oil tan leather that's it's gonna run in the 8 to 10 square feet.
Oh, it's like a piece. It's an oil tan piece.
Well, we got sides.
There's little baby sides?
Well, they're not adult sides. So we got, we're going to have $20 sides. We're going to have $30 sides, $40 sides, $50 sides. And here is some little inside information. We are going to very shortly have to where you can buy 2 sides of matching oil tan leather sides for $50. And those sides, you're going to get a total of somewhere between 24 and 31 square feet. That's going to be a bargain.
A bargain.
An incredible bargain. And there's a reason for that. We bought about a zillion feet of oil tanned leather only to discover that not all the skins are large. Some of them are small. 11, 12, 13 feet. So you might get a 12-footer and a 16-footer. Or you might get a 12-footer and a 13-footer. Or you might get a 13-footer and, well, you get it.
You'll get some amount of leather that equals 28, 24.
It's roughly 24 to 31
To
square
31
feet. And if I have my way, you could get 32 or 33 because I want this stuff done and gone. Can we go backwards on the question screen to see if we missed something?
He's lining them up.
Since we were just in oil tan leather, I figured we'd just stay with oil tan question.
Well, will oil tan leather stain fabric? Maybe.
It depends on the oil content.
Exactly.
If you can feel the oil in the leather,
It's
It
a
will,
pretty good chance.
it will stain probably.
Yeah.
Many oil tans will not stain fabric, but it's just,
Yeah.
depends on what it is, because, that's something else we could talk about and give you some information about. There's a term in the leather world called oilies, or oil off. And basically, it's a side of leather that somebody looked at and had oil on their fingers, and they said, that's an oily. And they're not really very oily, but that's what they're called. So oil tans aren't necessarily all oily to the point where they'd stain something.
If you can bend it and see the oil, the liquid,
If you can see a pull-up effect,
Yeah.
that's the typical oil tan. Sewing machine help, Jacob Hibbs. I tried sewing a rubber sole onto elk skin. It broke the needle. Also, I tried sewing a tarp cover for my boat. This should be fine. I have a Cobra Class 26. Any tips on sewing different materials other than leather? Tarp should be a no-brainer. They should sew just fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and different needles do different jobs too. A
Yes.
round point needle would be better on a fabric such as a tarp,
Yes, rubber's tricky though because it's grippy
Right.
and that can present real difficulties. So
I know we've done it with the 3 and the 4, like sewing rubber soles onto things. I don't know
Well-
if we've really tried too much with the 26.
yeah,
But it'll depend on the type of rubber sole. There's kind of
Exactly.
like loose rubbers and really dense rubbers, and so
it really depends on that. You're exactly right. So when you do try to do those things, just make sure you're not using your last needle.
yeah. And maybe, I mean,
Good idea.
make sure you got some fresh ones. Maybe use the largest needle that the 26 would accommodate. Like,
On my old machine,
Instead of a
which was
small
not a triple feed type machine, it just needle feed and dog feed. A lot of times I had to kind of help the material through when you're going through something like that where your presser foot wants to grab that material.
Yeah.
You might have to push it and help it a little bit.
Yep.
You don't want to overdo that, but
You have to go slow.
Yeah.
Sometimes one stitch at a time. One of the nice things about the Cobras is that when you are sewing one stitch at a time by hand, pretty much you're trying to lift, you get just as good a stitch as you do when you are running it with the
Sure,
electricity.
sure you do.
That's not that way with all machines.
Yeah.
So that's good. How about?
nope.
Go ahead.
What is the best sewing machine for sewing large bags and projects that are mostly using 8-ounce leather and above?
Well, there's some opinion involved here. I don't know. That class 26 is really, really darn good machine.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think a 26 would be about the best bag machine you could buy. You could do the same thing with a class 3.
I was gonna say, like, is it like 8 to 10 ounces?
Yeah.
Because really, the 26 is gonna be a really good machine for that. Are you going up to like 20 ounces? Like, what does 8 plus mean? Like, that's
So the biggest thing probably for you to think about is just make sure you have a cylinder arm and not a flatbed. Because a flatbed is nothing but grief when you start trying to sew bags with that are heavy leather.
And a lot of people use a post type machine, but those are kind of specific.
and they're
Yeah.
usually lighter weight.
Yes.
And really all we can comment on are the machines that we sell. And I don't know, do we offer a post machine?
Yes,
do.
we offer a
Cobra's got
couple,
one.
and I'm hesitant to really sell them to someone unless they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I've had post machines and used them over the years, and they are fantastic for some applications, especially in the shoe industry
Doing those
or boots,
fancy.
when you want
boot
to
uppers.
sew tops or something like that. But when you're getting into bags, you're better with a cylinder arm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
that
they-
class 26 is the best all around machine that I've ever used
Yeah.
myself personally.
Let's go to
Liza Marie.
Need some lighting tips for a workbench. My current setup leaves a lot to be desired. Would a ring light work? Well,
Do you guys know what the ring lights are?
yes,
Okay.
but for me,
Just needed to make sure that you were up on.
I don't know what you have, Denny, but I always use a shop light. It works really good.
Yeah, and these new LED lights are great. For me, on my work surface, especially for tooling, you know, I want a fluorescent light on each side going this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that way the light comes this way, and if it's far enough in front, I even get light from the front. Where you are, there will always be a shadow, no matter what lights you have. So if you can get light from both sides and from the front, you're probably doing as well as you could do.
And that's not really too hard because it doesn't take too big of fixtures.
Yeah, two
Just that you go by the ones at
$10
Lowe's.
Walmart shop lights.
Yeah.
But like I say, the LEDs are great. They really put out a lot of light.
Let's see. Oh, the best way to remove stitching awls from thick leather. Wow. You
Flyer.
know the answer.
Polish that son of a gun before
Exactly.
you use it.
For that issue, it's just got to be polished. That stitching awl blade just needs to be polished. That's it. That's the whole 9 yards. There's no other answer to that question that I'm aware of. You can wipe your stitching awl on wax or soap or anything like that before you poke it into that saddle skirting or whatever. But it only works for a minute or two.
Yeah.
If the blade is polished, that's the
It should
key.
go in and come right back out.
Just whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Some whoosh whooshes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Okay.
Well, and that's why the awls are tapered from the point to the widest part of the blade, and then it tapers back again.
Yep.
Because the widest part of the blade is as big as that hole is going to be.
I mean, we've talked about it before, but you really almost have to have a buffing wheel with jeweler's rouge or something like that you can just polish the dickens out of that. And polish your chisels too, because it works really, really well. And if you don't have a buffing wheel and you can't have a buffing wheel, then make a strop for yourself that's fairly wide, probably 3 inches or so, with a lot of jeweler's rouge, and you can just strop that thing on its side, and that'll do it. It'll work.
Would you use a running stitch vise? Why would you use a running stitch vise?
I'm thinking, why would you use a running stitch versus
Okay.
a saddle stitch?
Sorry, Liz.
I'm not sure what a running stitch would
Is that
be.
where you go one way and then you come back and go the other way?
Yeah,
Or are you looping?
yeah, you
You're
just up
doing
and down, up.
exactly the same thing.
It is essentially the same thing. A lot of that answer, I feel, is steeped in tradition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you didn't do a saddle stitch, you were looked at as not being so good. I'm lazy. On a lot of things that I did a running stitch around the top edge of a wallet, and then I came all the way back. I haven't had any problems.
Do you think it makes a difference depending on the length of the project that you're doing? Like, would you want to do a running stitch on a belt? I don't know.
You
I've
know,
never done one before.
I still contend that you're doing exactly the same thing as a saddle stitch.
What about the
Saddle
tension on
stitch,
each
you're
stitch?
just going back and forth this way. Running stitch, you're going this way, and then going back the same direction.
You
or
get the same
opposite
effect.
direction.
The running stitch, I guess, could pull out a little easier, a little further, maybe. But the trick with either one of them is to make sure that you're doing the stitch the same way every time. Your needle has to come out on the same side of the thread every time, both needles.
Yeah.
As long as you do that, it's going to look good. Speaking of, you can be our designated reader this
Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about edges. Let's see here. What grit size sandpaper do you recommend for finishing edges? Well, you got to start with the high one, get it, and then you just keep going down until you
You
have the
start
fine
with
grit.
a coarser grit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no rule there for that. We have what size grit do we have on the finisher back there? Isn't one of them like an 80?
Yeah.
The 60 or an 80, and then I think we have a 120.
Yeah.
Or like if you buy the Cobra burnisher, I think it's a 60 and then a 120.
An 80 will just flat grind it.
Yeah, you're just going to take some material off.
Here's my thought on it. The sandpaper isn't what makes a fine finished edge. You know,
No.
I mean, you don't want to use a 90 grit sandpaper
When you're finishing.
and create fuzz that's a 1/4 inch long and expect to lay that down. But But if you use anything, 120 or less, and the liquid and the friction that you create on it is what actually lays the nap down and gives you that burnish.
Yeah.
So,
As I say, typically, like if I'm finishing my edges on the knife sheath, I'll just use like a used 120, like one of Chris's used 120s that he's ground a bunch of steel on, and it's gotten a lot finer than 120 probably.
You're
but that's,
probably up close to a 200. by
yeah,
that
that's
time.
what I'll use at the end there.
It does make your leather smoother, which makes it easier to apply your whatever edge coat that you're going to use. But you're right, it's the burnish. How about the next one?
So many finish coats. When to choose one over another?
That's a good question.
Tony, can you leave those for just a moment longer?
Nope.
Really it depends on the end use of the product to some degree, wouldn't you say, Denny?
yeah.
If I'm making something that's not going to be exposed to a lot of moisture necessarily, I'm not too fussy. I like the look that leather balm with atom wax gives, but it's not horribly efficient when it comes to repelling water. It's something. I thought doors were intended to keep out pests.
What I was thinking was I got this notification when you went live, and I seen that you said something about dragging the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, so you came
And
in.
then it was the door, and so I just wanted to see it all in one room at one time.
This is the bottom of the barrel.
You are
Let's see
very
right here.
welcome to sit in here.
Oh, I don't know.
We
There's only
need
three
you,
chairs.
actually. You can have my seat.
No, I know how that works. It sounds good, though. I've been listening to you guys. It almost sounds convincing.
Well, we're good liars. Actually, going back to that finish coat, again, if you're doing horse tack, you've got a moisture issue to face.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to have some kind of oil in there, to my way of thinking, at some point. What do you think?
Well, that's why you just saddle soap.
I
everything.
agree. For an actual, on something that you really want to create a moisture barrier, any kind of a wax type finish top coat on it would be good. If you're wanting something really shiny and slick,
Acrylic.
yeah, use an acrylic.
Well, I know when Clayton and I did the video, just like going over all the different types of finishes, the only finishes that really 100% prevented water absorption was the acrylic. Because even with some of the wax ones, if you let it sit on there long enough, eventually it would start to penetrate.
I'm gonna check this door on the other side.
Without getting too heavily into finishes, because that's a deep well.
Yeah.
It is. And people have all sorts of reasons for using the ones that they do.
Yeah. I mean, over the years, as I'm sure you have, I've made products for people that require large quantities of things, like they want to buy 200 money clips, or they want to buy 100 of this wallet, or 300 belts of one thing and another. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use a spray finish.
Sure.
That's just the only way around it. I'm going to either put Saddle Lac on there or Masters Quick Shine. There was a time when I didn't have Masters Quick Shine, so I used Saddle Lac. And if I ran out of Saddle Lac, I'd use Leather Sheen or something
Yeah.
like that. It's just mostly common sense.
Yeah.
And all the finishes work pretty good.
It really depends on the application.
And if you're
What's the best finish?
If you're talking about an edge coat, you're coating an edge that should already be finished.
Right.
If you're expecting that edge coat to do a job for you other than
Coloring the edge.
be a finish coat, you're not going to get the result
Your
you're wanting.
expectations are mislaid.
Right. If you burnish it well, you can use about any finish coat that you want to and have a pretty good result.
Okay, let's go on to Sabrina. Would 3-ounce leather, you want to read this?
I can. Would 3-ounce leather work for the inside of a bifold wallet, or would you recommend lighter or heavier?
Again, it depends on the wallet. Here's the thing. The answer is yes. in some instances. 3-ounce leather will work. When you're making a heavier style of wallet,
Like a biker or something.
maybe a
Well, I guess
biker,
this is a
but
bifold,
I'm thinking
so.
of a fold over. It could be a bifold. It's just, it can't have too many pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, it's going to be a little bulkier.
So maybe a simple bifold
A
version.
simple bifold, but 3-ounce, yes, it will work, and it makes a heck of a good wallet. Personally, on most all of the wallets that I do and that SLC does for retail, we're using 2-ounce leather and 1.5 ounces. If you have to have a divider or a top strip, 1.5 ounce leather works pretty good. You do have to use pretty good leather to do that, so it doesn't tear. But 1.5 ounce leather. The pockets, 2 ounce right across the board. I'm pretty happy with that. A lot of other people might use something different.
Yeah. Well, and most people, they feel like heavier is better, you know. They look at that 1.5 to 2 ounce leather and they think, oh man, that is cheesy stuff. You know, but it's not.
No, it isn't.
You know, you start using 3 or 3.5 or 4 ounce leather
Ooh.
on a wallet, and pretty soon you will realize why you want a lighter weight.
Yeah, it depends on the style of wallet.
Yeah. Especially if you're stacking up 3 pockets on each side, and for whatever reason you've got an overlap in all of those pockets. 3-ounce leather is going to be pretty hefty on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So let's go back to the next one was ready to start shooting. What's a good backing for a Herman Oak 1.5 inch belt? Depends on what color you like and what you want that back to look like.
Yeah.
If you want it black, you can use a thin black chrome tan. You can use Mission Pig. I like Mission Pig because it's so blasted tough. But I would prefer to line mine with a piece of thin Herman Oak.
Yeah. Yeah, and it depends on how heavy your outside part is.
Exactly.
On my belts, my tool belts that I make, I use a 5 to 6 ounce on the front and a 4 to 5 ounce to line it
Yeah,
with.
there you go. You're getting a 9-10 ounce belt.
Yes.
It makes a nice solid belt.
Yes.
So it really, it does come down to the belt construction.
see here, Angela asked, is Elmer's plus acrylic paint a good way to create custom edge paint? Or is there a better way to color match pre-dyed veg?
Elmer's
Elmer's glue, I assume?
plus acrylic paint,
Yeah.
a good way to create custom edge paint. I've never tried that. I would suspect it would work pretty good because Elmer's paint, or Elmer's glue rather, it's water soluble and it's sticky.
I tell you what, Angela,
it's
how about
waterproof
you
when it-
try it and then you let us know how it works?
Yeah. Now, what can we go back? Because there was one, somebody asked, have you tried this? And I didn't see what that was.
That
Oh.
was the Angela question that you
Yeah,
read.
I think Tony was just commentating for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bill Van Ram, are ruby tipped swivel knives still a thing, or were they a fad? Have you ever used them, Denny? I've used a ton of them.
I've used them. They work well.
If you get a good,
Yeah. And if you don't drop it on your piece of granite.
as soon as you drop it, they're done.
Just like the ceramic blades.
And
Yeah.
they chip extremely easily. Tandy brought them out, what was it, back in it's been way back, before my time,
Oh my gosh.
I think.
That was like the beginning of the world.
They were out, I want to say, in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I was born.
Yeah. When I first started doing leather work, you could buy ruby blades.
Yeah.
And I think they were a big thing at that time.
And you can't sharpen them. It doesn't even, I'm a lapidary person. I've got the equipment to cut and sharpen and polish stones. You can't do it on those ruby blades because the least little bit of heat, they pop right off of there.
Yeah.
So for me, ruby blades were about the same as the ceramics. The ceramics work good until you drop it. And the ceramic, however, you could actually sharpen. And that worked pretty well. But I'd rather
Seems like
have
just a,
steel.
I was gonna say, nice steel blade that longevity.
Yeah. If you watch these YouTube videos, any good tooler is going to be using a steel blade. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen any
I haven't either.
anyone do a really fine job with anything.
Bill, it sounds like a bad.
When they make those dumb blades, the ceramics and the rubies, they ground them with so that the grind marks were the wrong direction. And that was a problem, especially for the ceramics. So anyway, a little beer. You talked about oil tan leather previously. Can you tool on oil tan, or is it for more uses like chrome tan? Foist of all. Oil tan is chrome tan leather. Am I right?
You are right.
So most oil tans, about the best you will ever get out of them as far as tooling goes, is you might be able to stamp on one a little bit.
Not gonna.
It's probably not going to hold the stamping real well, but again, depending on the leather, it may hold it okay. The other thing about oil tan that you can do sometimes, you can stamp a name into it, because really you're cutting into the leather. That would.
If you have a heat embossing machine, you can heat emboss some oil tans leather. Every piece of leather will take heat embossing differently, so
Yeah.
always test it out before you're just gung ho about it.
Tooling leather,
Yeah,
forget it.
yeah, it's not tool.
How about this one? Melissa, what is the one tool you can't live without? Well, that would depend on in regards to what. But if you want to call a granite slab a tool, that would be the one thing. How about you?
For me, a round knife or a head knife. Yeah, I use that more than any tool on my bench.
Okay. Let's see. There was a bunch of other questions. Where did they all go?
I don't know. Tony's messing with our head.
Okay, ready to start shooting. The best blade for the swivel knife. Is there a trick to using it? It's just not working to me. Yeah, there is a trick. You're not going to like the answer, so I'll let Danny tell you.
Get it sharp, strop the heck out of it.
That's it.
You know, that's the only trick to a swivel knife blade. You know, using a swivel knife, you know, there's a lot involved with the technique, but if you just need to watch some other people use a swivel knife a little bit and
Well, and for
try to
me,
emulate them.
what leather are you trying to carve on? Like,
Well, That's a good point, Liz. It makes a real difference because number one is what Denny said is extremely true. The swivel knife has to be polished sharp. It just got to be polished. It's got to have an edge on it. It can't be rounded, really. If that bottom of the blade is rounded, you're not going to be happy, and you're going to be less happy if it's not polished. But then what Liz said comes into play, because if you're working on a piece of dry imported leather that's really not tanned, especially for tooling, it's not going to be happy. So my suggestion to people that have a real problem with the swivel knife, number one, buy a stick of jeweler's rouge. You can get it from us for what, $2 for enough to last your life.
Right.
Make yourself a little strop and strop your blade, and then ask us for a free sample of Herman oak, which we will happily give you, and do some experimenting. And as a matter of fact, I'll send you another piece of leather if you mention it that's not Herman oak, and you will see a big difference.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to use Herman oak for everything. You don't, but it's
it really is.
kind of nice.
If you are carving and tooling, you just can't get any better.
The best way to see how good Herman oak is to use a little bit of Herman oak and then try to use a piece of import leather afterwards.
Yeah.
You will see.
A double beaded blade for the swivel knife. They had their purpose. They probably still do.
Who makes? Does Barry make one of those?
I'm sure
Very
he does
King
make
does.
a bead blade.
Okay.
Most people use a regular bead tool though, which is not a blade that goes in the swivel knife. It's just a push tool. Yeah. It's like a creaser, double
Right.
creaser. Yeah.
Yeah. Springfield leather. How thick are the round knife blades that you and Denny use? Never.
Thin as possible. Thin as possible. Thin is better.
Having a little flex is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul, are you trying to make one yourself? Or are you, because like if you just buy one of the Osborne ones, that
Yeah, they're,
should be good to go.
the Osborne knives that we sell are good knives. I mean, I will never badmouth an Osborne knife because they've always done good for me.
Well, they're made out of good steel.
Yeah,
You know, the problem is they don't come sharp.
right. But that's besides the point. You have to sharpen a knife every time you use it.
Right. So
So,
a lot of people don't get that.
yeah, they don't get that. You can buy a custom-made knife for $300 that's really, really nice.
I say the leather wranglers, they make a really nice,
And it'll
nice,
be
very
really,
keen.
really sharp.
Yeah, it'll
And
come to
burst.
you polished, yes.
Yeah.
But other than that,
It ain't gonna be any better than your
It's-
Osborne.
yeah, I can do this. I can do the same thing with, pardon me, with my Osborne blade as I can do with a custom
How
knife.
about, Andrea?
I think she's just.
Thank you for that nice comment about us getting Tokanol and Panici and for partnering with Sergey. That's been a good thing for us, and we appreciate that it's a good thing for you. Michael Evans, what's the strangest leather you ever bought? I can tell you, it's tanned chicken legs.
So little.
Yeah, they were. I remember those. Those cane toads we used to get were pretty cool too.
Well, you can still get those because they are an invasive pest in Australia. But,
They kill them as fast as they can.
yeah. Oh. Okay, that was the strangest leather. I mean, there's been some other pretty weird ones too. You can get what they call Galapagos. That's tanned chicken or turkey hides.
You said
Not-
Galapagos?
That's what it was
Not
called.
like Galapagos.
No, it was Galapagos. It's the difference. One's an island, one's leather.
One's a chicken.
Darcy said something about the poem, let's see, the tooling poem. It's cut, cam, shade, and bevel, vein it, seed it, and background like the devil.
One more time.
Cut, cam, shade, bevel, vein, seed, background like the devil. That's the proper order for
Truly.
Western style floral carving. At least, and you know,
I love it.
the tooling police are not going to come after you if you follow some other course. Let's see. Do you have any kangaroo for whip making? I don't know. Do we?
I'm not sure if we have kangaroo on occasion.
Well, we have kangaroo pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
But it's for making lace, and it's for wallet interiors, backs, braiding, and what have you.
I believe that Spencer just used some kangaroo to braid a whip.
But ideally, the kangaroo that you would use to braid a whip is called red hide. R-E-D.
Could we get that?
We can. It's rough looking. It's kind of expensive.
Well, if you're interested, give us a holler and we can find out and get you a quote on what it would be.
Oh. Whoa, well, they're...
Bill, that's going to take us a while.
No, it won't. I'll do it quick.
Okay.
What's the story how Springfield Leather got started and evolved to today's success? As far as Springfield Leather itself, this entity goes, it started when Tandy closed their store chain back in 1999. And I had run their store, which at the time was the largest volume store in the nation for them. And I had established a pretty good business on my own out of my garage. So when I was out from under corporate restrictions, we could do anything we wanted.
Woohoo!
So we did anything we wanted. And for what it's worth, the whole country was minus all of a sudden all these leather stores. They were gone. And the store managers that had previously run those stores, most of those were all my friends. I knew them for years because I'd been with the company for almost 25 years. So they sent their customers to me. And I had a huge inmate customer base already built up. And it just took off like a house of fire. And we decided that any leather store worth its salt, you should be able to walk into and buy a belt. But with Tandy, you could not. You could not walk into a Tandy store and buy a finished belt or a finished wallet. So we remedied those situations, went onward and upward, and that's about it in a nutshell.
Here we are, 21 years later.
I could make that a lot longer if I want.
There's really, if you really want to get in depth with it, there's a big story on our website.
Did I say anything about the fact that I was so darn good looking at that time and charming?
I'm sure that's what got all the inmates interested.
Who invited you?
You did.
Okay, would you say that there are prerequisites to become a leather worker? You know, I might have said that at one time, but I don't anymore. I would say no, because you might not have a bent, if you will, towards doing some certain kinds of leather work, but you can do other kinds and you can become really good at those things.
And I tell you what, we've got a customer that tools with his feet. He's missing an arm and he holds the tool with a foot and then he has the hammer and it's like anybody can do leather work.
You know, I had a customer I taught Monday night classes to for years. I'll never forget the guy. His name was Richard, and I won't say his last name, but he could not get in his head the idea of moisture content. His idea of damp was so that when you hit it with the pear shader, you'd splash the person. And this is what he did. And every single time he did leather tooling, it was way too wet and it got gray and icky and nasty. And you know, he did this for several years. And he came back in the store just about a year ago. And it was probably 25 years since I had seen him because I was teaching it for Tandy. He came back in the store, he'd moved to Oklahoma, came back, brought a wallet. He said, "Kevin, look at this." I said, "Whoa, that's really good." He says, "Yeah, I finally figured out how to quit drowning the leather." You know, he got it. So I think anybody that wants to can become a leather crafter. As far as, I just saw a question up there that said there's a prerequisite. The prerequisite for wanting to for doing a leather crafter is to have the want.
Yeah.
Just like with anything.
The desire.
Yeah.
That's it. Darcy, can you explain the importance of moisture content when tooling? Well, one word, critical.
Drier is better than wetter.
Yep, but it's critical. You've got to have the right moisture content. How to tell when it's right? Experience is the best way, but there is a simple way as far as when you get a piece of leather wet, really get it pretty wet, and you lower your hand down to where you're about a millimeter or 2 or 3 off the surface of the leather. Right after you've wet the leather will give off heat. And the reason it does is because all those fibers are expanding so fast, they're creating friction, and it gives off heat. But after a short time, it starts to not do that anymore, and it starts to become cool. And as it cools, the color starts to go back to normal, then you can go ahead.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who might want to become a leather worker? I'd say it's a lot of fun and enjoyable.
If you don't do it, you can't do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a good thing. Some people use it for stress relief. Some people use it for fun. Some people use it to make money. There's all kinds of reasons. What advice would you give to someone who would want to succeed in this profession? Well, that's a different question. That requires a thought process. You have to identify a lot of things that you want to do. I guess I'm associating success in a profession as being able to make a living at. You would have to decide what you wanted to make, what products you wanted to make, who your customers would be, what price points you needed to be at, whether or not you could afford to actually get into this endeavor? There's a lot that goes into the answer to that question.
Well, because there's a million different avenues of leather work, and there's a million different customer bases that you could be appealing to.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, I don't know how else.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that make, $25,000 hand sewn, perfect, like,
Saddles.
or handbags.
Yeah.
Well, and it depends. It depends if you want to make a living or if you want to get rich, because there's a big difference there. And a lot of people consider getting rich as being successful.
And that's not
You
true.
know, that's not true. But if you can make a living at it and are happy with that, you are successful.
Yeah, and if you want to achieve a level of talent that makes you happy, I would say that is success also.
Yes.
You won't make your living at that probably, but at least you'd be happy. There's a lot that goes into that question, and thank you for asking it. That would probably require a phone call with some specific questions.
Yeah.
Angela, Matthias, tan chicken legs, please tell us the story of how that. Hey, it's a simple story. Who was that? I want to say it was a boot company, I believe, that had those stupid chicken legs, and they called me and says, "Kevin, you want some chicken legs? We've got these things. We don't even know how we've had them. We've had them for years, and we're just not going to use them. You want them?" I said, "Sure." They said, "Well, how much will you pay?" I said, "I ain't paying you nothing."
That's what I wanted.
I think we ended up selling them. We did sell them for like 99 cents or maybe a quarter or something. It wasn't very much money. Are there
Like miniature ostrich legs.
are there plans to open SLC stores in other states? Not at the current time.
If we ever get Kevin to move to Jamaica to retire, he might open a store there.
The only thing I can tell you is this place is a lot more complicated than the average person knows. If you get the chance and are able to come and visit, and we'll take you for a tour around the building and explain things. And it's a nice little tour. I mean, take
we have a good time.
half an hour, 20 minutes. You get some insight, but you don't really understand the complications of this place to keep it as what it is. We're trying really, really hard not be like everyone else. We're trying really, really hard to have something for everybody, to make our customers happy, to provide education. And man, it's expensive and it's just flat challenging. What is the best deal? Oops, nope. What leather is the best for its return value?
It depends on what you're going to make out of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite what you mean by that, but it as far as the leather to buy as an investment for future use or to just be able to make things out of, what are our guesses there? A piece
If you're a saddle maker, Herman Oak would be the best.
a piece of veg leather holds its value for a long time if it's stored properly.
Yeah, if you store it.
And so does a good piece of oil tan leather. That holds its value for a long time. I'd say other than that, ostrich.
Any of the exotics would probably be.
They do hold their value for quite a while. Some don't. There was other questions there. What? Not sure the difference between a $200 handmade leather handbag and a $15,000 handmade leather handbag. Advertising? Oh, that's probably a lot of it. Advertising,
Yeah.
name, brand.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're a fancy bag maker in Switzerland that's using, American alligator and hand sewing and hand finishing, and you've built your business for 15 years.
I hear people all the time ask, "What's a good price for something like this?" Well, either $200 or $15,000.
Yeah, I've seen those.
One of those two prices.
One of those will work.
You go into the airports, and in Las Vegas is a good example. And when I was working with Tandy, they used to have their managers meetings out there every year. So we'd go out there and I'd look around in the airport vendors there, and they'd have these Coach and Louis Vuitton and other bags, 15 grand. Well, those are for people that went into a casino and hit it big. And they made a lot of money, and they got drunk and they bought this for their daily girlfriend or whatever. That's basically it. And plus they're for people that are millionaires, billionaires, whatever, and they buy those things. Quality is super, usually. They're really pretty good. But there's a lot of guys out here in our world that make bags that are just as nice. Sure. They just don't have a Louis Vuitton name.
Yep.
As far as how do you keep your sanity working with all those special folks around you? I lost my sanity years ago.
That's a fact.
Well,
I think I was joining Springfield Leather on the tail end of his sanity.
it, like I said, this is a complicated place. This is a fun place to work. There's a lot of good things about it, and there's some real challenges about it. The more people you have, the more challenging it becomes. We have approximately 90 right now working here in various departments. Anytime you have 90 people that come in off the street and you hire them and work them and they're working for you, you discover some that aren't as fired up about working as others are. You discover that some don't even know what work is. You discover that some have amazing abilities that you never thought they'd have, and they're just fantastic. Yeah, sanity, that doesn't really have any place here.
No, there's no place here for that.
What's the best way to store leather?
In a cool, dry place.
That's right.
Just like your pasta.
Wrapped in brown paper.
Yes, dark.
Yep, dark. Cool. Dry.
What's the best deal at SLC? Right now, I think the best deal is,
Oil tans.
pardon?
Oil tans.
That's it, exactly. The best deal is oil tan leather. I have those $15 sides are just stupidly, insanely good because you're buying oil tan leather, good quality leather. It's not crap. It's nice. It's like anywhere from $1.35 to $1.60 a foot. It's really good, and some is even less than that. The others that we have are all great deals too, and that's borne out by the sales. My gosh, we're selling it hand over fist. What's the deal with the dogs? I like dogs.
We like dogs. He likes dogs, so he started it, and
Well, when we started, yeah, we brought
stupid
in
dogs.
my wife's stupid dog.
It's his wife's stupid dogs, guys.
Some of you
Becky's dog.
old timers can go back and read some of those stories that were pretty much completely true about my wife's stupid dog. His name was Teddy. And one night we're laying in bed. It's about probably 12 o'clock. That I was much younger.
Okay.
And daughter Lindsay comes up from the basement where her bedroom was, and says, "Dad, there's a dog barking outside." I don't care. She says, "Well, it's keeping me awake." I said, "Go throw some water on it." She said, "I ain't gonna go throw water." Okay, let it bark. She went back downstairs and she came back up about 5 minutes later. The dog is still out there, Dad. I said, "Well, I don't care. I'm not going out there and throwing water on it in the middle of the night." Becky says, "Well, I'll go out there." So she went out. She didn't come back for a while. And she come back and she said, "I got the dog stopped." Okay, great. I spent the night happily sleeping away, got up in the morning to go to work, and I walked down the stairs. We have a split level house. And I turned around to say goodbye, and down at the bottom of the stairs was this little red dish with dog food in it right by the game room door that was closed. Yeah. Yeah, I may be dumb, but I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. So anyway, I just said, "I want the dog gone by the time I get back." She said, "Okay." That's all I heard. I repeated it. "Want the dog gone. Out of here." She said, "Okay." So I went to work, had a happy day, come home, looked down at the bottom of the stairs, no doggy dish. So I said, "Where's the dog?" I yelled up the stairs because she was in the kitchen. She said, "What?" I said, "Where is the dog?" "It's gone." I said, "Where is the dog?" She sticks her head around the corner and says, "The vet." Oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe it. And I can't even begin to tell you. Now, he was not just at the vet, he was getting neutered. He got neutered, and the vet screwed it up. He got infected. I was in this dog for hundreds of bucks. Hundreds of bucks. To make this is a long story. To make it short, the dog was nice. He was a good dog. He loved Becky and loved me, kind of, sort of, put up with me. That's what he did. So we'd had the dog for about 3 months. We come home one night. Teddy, this is the dog. Teddy came to work with us every day, slept under my desk. That's one dog. We took him home one night, and Teddy jumped out of the car and ran up the hill, which was very unusual because normally we let him out of the side door of the van and he zips into the house and we're good. But this time he didn't. Got out of the car, ran up the hill towards the neighbor that was walking down the hill and says, "My gosh, that looks like Ranger, our black dog." And the dog perked up his ears. And I said, "Huh?" She says, "Yeah, we don't know where that dog went. He got away a few months ago." I'm thinking, he says, "Well," the neighbor said, "Well, I don't know. We sure hated him. That dog chewed up everything in sight. He was always digging under the fence and in the yard. If he's your dog now, more power to you." Oh, that's where that dog came from. Oh, what's with the dog? That was one, and we had just accumulated more. Employees figured, hey, if you can have your dog here, can I have mine here? Okay. And it just got out of control.
Still is.
My stepson, his wife, she had Chihuahuas. Chihuahuas had babies. I don't know what to tell you. You've seen one of them on the stupid dog videos, growling and growling like the MGM.
Yeah, when I started here,
Okay.
it was a Chihuahua festival.
What weight are $15 sides? They're anywhere from 3.5 at the lightest to standard old 4 to 5. And I don't have a number for them right now, I don't think.
No, we're working on those.
So
Give us
it's
a
all
little
going to
bit
get
there.
released.
Yeah.
Can you get more colors in 138 bonded thread? I thought we had more colors.
We do have a pretty decent selection on those, and then we do carry the little 1-ounce spools in the 138. And I think right now we've got maybe 15 colors. Sure, there can be more colors, but you gotta order them probably from overseas and get them here, and then you'd have to buy a case. And so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Nah.
Yeah, okay. So that's true. That's really hard.
Yeah.
We're always looking for thread deals that we can find and expand our line, because you never have the colors that you want, no matter how many colors you
No
have.
matter how many colors you have.
So are there rivets longer than the large? Yes. I
There is
need
an extra
2.
large.
There is an extra large, but they probably don't come in the color that you want.
I need that burnished copper.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. We just don't have them.
Real rivet versus double
Yep.
cap.
So rivets are a real pain. Any rivet maker doesn't want to sell you 500 rivets. He wants to sell you 50,000. Buy 50,000 extra large burnished copper rivets is just not something we want to do. Sorry.
Unless you need 50,000 amps.
Liz, we're just about out of time. Are there more questions?
No.
No?
Happy days.
Awesome.
We're done. I can get lunch.
Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you had a good time.
And thank you so much. And if you would please communicate with us and give us some suggestions on some things we could make Denny do during his video times. And Liz, We really need help on that. We could use any suggestions that you might come up with.
But we will decide if we're gonna do it or not. So you're welcome to submit it.
Suggest all you want.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
We're out of here.
Denny will see you on Friday with a money bill. So
Bye.
bye.